the one and only Temple Ensemble. Musicians conducted by Mr. Martin Woods, directed by Monte Filon. Before I get started, I want to give one quick correction to the reminders. The GF3 event on May 31st, the tickets are available today. You have to have a reservation. So for those who have not made an event so far, please make sure you get a reservation in the front lobby kiosk, okay? All right. Good morning. We are in the midst of a lesson series for the months of May and June titled Spiritual Economics. This is the third lesson in the series. These lessons are taken from the book Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth, who was, by the way, a friend of Reverend Coleman's. This lesson covers chapters 3 and 4. Now, as I was praying about this lesson, one question kept coming to me, and I've played with this lesson like many preachers. You know how it is, second row, first row. We play with the lesson over and over again because it's never just right. But it'll be what it needs to be. This question came to me. Why do we need to emphasize prosperity? Spirit starts showing me some of the issues some of our people have been dealing with over the years, just since I've been a minister. I started to think about people's heat being cut off in the winter, lights being disconnected, people being kicked out of their residences and because of lack of funds, people's cars breaking down and not having the money to fix it and get their kids to school or to work. Things I've heard since I've been a minister here. Our elders choosing to buy medicine instead of food or to pay their utilities. People having way more month than money. Our young people with college degrees and no jobs. People trying to take care of relatives with health challenges, but the Medicare and the Medicaid have run out. Can we keep it real? Grandparents raising their grandkids because of issues with the parents. Even family members being left with the burden of having to have funeral services and burials from a loved one who only left bills to pay. No insurance, no money. Why prosperity? See, when these issues started to come to my mind, I realized that our founder emphasized prosperity because it's what our community needed. She wanted this church to be a place of hope, a place where you could discover the truth about yourself that could set you free. And part of being free is having enough money to handle your needs. See, today I want you to get real clear about why you must be prosperous. I didn't say want to be prosperous. I said must be prosperous. You must make up your mind and keep it made up that you are done with being broke and you must be prosperous because you are a rich child of a prosperous God who owns everything. And the scripture says a cattle on 1,000 hills are his. Now, we don't have cattle today, whatever that means for you now. That's your father's. And it belongs to who? All that is mine is thine. See, you have to give yourself reasons why you must be prosperous. See, why do you have to be prosperous? Is it your kids? Dr. Johnson talked about today how the Men Expressed in Christ have events just so we can help our youth. Do you have big goals that require big money? Do you want to retire comfortably? Do you want to leave wealth for your children's children? Do you want to help your parents if they need help? Do you want to help support your church? Do you want to help social causes that you believe in? Do you just want to have as much fun on a roller coaster called life as possible? See, you got to have a reason why you want to be prosperous. When I was a kid, me and my buddies used to sing this song. It was called Paid in Full. And at the beginning of it, it would say, thinking of a master plan, because there's nothing but sweat inside my hand. I dig into my pockets, all my money is spent. I dig deeper, but still coming up with lint. See, he was thinking about, I got to come up with a plan because I don't have the money I need to do what I need to do. See, it's nothing like digging in the pocket and the money is spent, and he says you dig deeper, it's still coming up with lint. See, you have to get really base level with why you have to be prosperous. See, having enough money to pay your bills, help your loved ones, support the organizations you believe in, and have massive fun is the type of prosperity I'm talking about today. To have this type of prosperity, you must go through a spiritual, mental reconditioning process. We must learn how to think spiritually instead of from our conditioned, limited thoughts of the past based upon our upbringing, our family culture, our personal history, our race, our gender, and what they're saying on the news. Now, in the introduction of the book, if you just get the introduction of this book, by the way, you'll get it. This book is that good. Just want to read a few quick things. He wrote a great idea, and I'm not giving page numbers because I've seen like 4 versions of this book. It's in the introduction. A great idea whose time has come is that there is no such thing as a purely financial problem unrelated to false attitudes and emotions that caused it, or a healthy attitude or emotion that can cure it. What is that saying? He's saying a great idea has come to realize that there's no such thing as just a money problem. A money problem begins with a mind problem, with a thinking problem. He goes on to say, in the introduction, prosperity is not just having things. It is the consciousness that attracts the things. He's setting a base, a foundation for you to build upon. So he states, prosperity is a way of living and thinking and not just money and things. Let that settle. Prosperity is a way of living and thinking, not just money or things. He goes on to say poverty is a way of living and thinking, and not just a lack of money and things. See, we look at the effect instead of dealing with the cause, but we know as metaphysicians, as New Thought Christians, as people who live on the spiritual mental side of life, on the side of cause, that the effect will always reflect the cause. One last point in this introduction, and I really took this home. He states, if you are serious about the program suggested by this book, you will want to make a commitment to get yourself and keep yourself in the positive stream of life. Refuse to indulge in casual conversation, should the word be causal, about the bad economy, the high cost of living, or about anything you really do not want to say yes to. Eliminate such thoughts as I can't, I'm afraid, and there's not enough from your consciousness. Talk only about the things you want to see, live, and grow. See, we're developing a consciousness now of prosperity, so I want you to pull out your bulletins. Let's work with this, all right? You're at church, but you're also in class. We're going to get this, right? All right. So let's take this first definition of prosperity together. The consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource, unfailing, ready for all who open themselves to it through faith. So the first thing we have to recognize is this when we look at this definition. It starts off with the consciousness of God. Don't miss that. What is consciousness? Reverend Boyd talked about this last week. The awareness of being, right? It's the totality of your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your attitudes, your memories, all that make up what we call the entire mind or soul. So when you start talking about the consciousness of God, it's saying the thinking and feeling and believing of God. Is my mind in alignment with the truth about God in me? Now, what is this consciousness? This consciousness of God as the abundant. Say abundant. Abundant means a whole lot of, right? It's hard to run out of abundant. Abundant, now here's the thing. It's a whole lot of, right? Everywhere present resource. So not only is it abundant, it is right where I am. Say it's right where I am. So you got to get clear on that. You don't have to go anywhere to get more God. It's great if Reverend Carrie can pray for you, but if she is watching Scandal, you need to be able to pray for yourself. Now, I know she likes Scandal, so that's our thing. I'm messing with you. The point is this. You have to know that it's available to you right here and right now. You say, but where is it? It's here as possibility and potential that has to be shaped by your thinking. Are you with me? All right. So it says it's unfailing, which means that it must be a demand placed upon it. You get that? It's unfailing, but it has to be a demand point. See, I teach it this way in class. Anybody here ever seen a faucet? Okay, we're all familiar with a thing called faucet, right? A faucet controls the flow of water coming out through the pipes, correct? You all have the image? Okay, now, here's the thing about water that's funny. The water pressure is always up to the highest. If there is no faucet, the force of the pressure coming through the pipes would release the water through the outlet at its full potential, whatever the force is coming through the pipe system. What the faucet does is it arrests, it slows down, or it stops the flow of water coming out of the faucet, right? All right. So think of the mind as a faucet. And we are having drips of prosperity a drip of abundance, a drip of health, a drip of peace of mind, because our minds are arresting the free flow of God that works naturally when we don't interfere. So what I want you to really get connected to is it's unfailing, but I can interfere with my flow. Now, you have to realize just how much swagger is involved in the fact that you can say, no, God, I don't want that. That's how powerful you are. No other creature in the creation says no to its nature but humanity. A dog is going to be a dog. A cat's going to be a cat. A tree is going to be a tree. 100% of the time. But we can act like everything other than a child of God anytime we want to. That's power. Don't miss that. That's power. Now here's the thing. Take the faucet off. Just let it pour. Take the faucet off. Just let it run down. Take the faucet off. Let it overflow the sink and get over on the floor. Take the faucet off of your blessings, because it's unfailing. As long as you don't interfere, as long as we don't get in our own way by the way we think. Because it's open to anybody who will open themselves to it through faith. And we're going to deal with that a little bit later. Now, this is telling us that financial needs are really spiritual needs that need to be worked out in mind. The question is, what's going on in my mind? I asked myself the question. This was like literally last night because I was tweaking this lesson. Why aren't you rich? You ever just ask that question? Like, why? I'm serious. I actually asked that question. You know, I thought, like, you could teach and preach this stuff with the best of them. Why aren't you rich? And the answer came back, you're distracted. Distracted by what? Everything other than being on what? Task of what? Developing the prosperity consciousness needed to have what you say you desire. Now, we can come up with all of these excuses of why we don't have what we have. But let me ask you this. What's distracting you? Busyness? Social media? TV shows? Emails? Sometimes I was like, Lord, no, Lord, not another email. The telephone? Other people's responsibilities? The news? Your mistakes? What other people are doing that's not right? And you can even be distracted by good stuff that keeps you away from the main stuff that will put your financial house in order. Distractions waste time and cause unintentional procrastination. To be prosperous, you must be about your spiritual and mental business. You must be in divine order, have a game plan, and do things that are supposed to be done when they're supposed to be done. When you're distracted, you don't even ponder the thought that you can be financially free. But you have to believe and know you can have wealth. Tony Robbins tells a story about a UPS driver who's 90 years old who never earned more than $14,000 a year. But he invested 20% of his income every check for over 40 years into UPS company stock. That stock is now worth more than $70 million. He had a plan. Do you have a plan? Do you have a get rich or die trying plan? Let me add, that's legal and moral. Even in church, you got to say that, Lord. See, the first part is making sure that you can grasp the concept that you can be financially free. It's your leverage. It's your leverage. You have to know why it has to happen. Second bulletin point, how do we work with this? Let's say this together. Everything that is manifested was first a mental picture and was brought into expression by the forming power of imagination. So if I see it out here, it was first where? In the mind, in my imagination, right? Where we're giving shape and form to thought, where we are seeing it, conceiving it. And when you can see it and conceive it, that's why we had the daily inspiration. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Because you have to realize that if I'm seeing it out here, it was first an image in somebody's mind. What will my mental pictures produce today and tomorrow? It's a good question. Because you think in pictures. If I said paradise, you all would have a different image of what that means. If I said love, you would all have a different image of what that means. If I said happiness, you would all have a different image of what that means. What will your mental pictures produce for you? Somebody laughed, like, oh, Lord. Charles Fillmore wrote, if I can conceive a truth, there must be a way by which I can make that truth apparent. Just by the fact that you can conceive it is possible for you. Grasp that. I'm not saying have it. I just said just by the fact that you can conceive it, it's possible. It's possible. But you have to be able to conceive it first. Fillmore went on to say, all causes are essentially mental, and whoever comes into daily contact with a higher order of thinking must take on some of it. What does this mean? It means once you start pondering higher ideas and ideals, your own or another's, your mind starts to stretch, and divine law seeks to give you the outer manifestation of the intermental equivalent. See, we must develop a mental equivalent, which is mental clarity and conviction of feeling. In other words, I have to see myself as prosperous, and I have to feel it. It has to be real to me. This isn't lip service. This isn't platitudes. You have to see it, and it has to feel real to you. In chapter 3 of the book Spiritual Economics, Butterworth writes, your perception is shaped according to your previous experiences, according to your faith, where you are in consciousness. So, my perception, I don't want you to miss this. Your perception, our perception, determines how we see a thing. He goes on to say in chapter 3, right seeing is one of the most important keys to effective demonstration of truth, which means I see from prosperity or I see from lack. I see from wholeness or I see from fragmentation. I see from health or I see from illness. You see from because your perception determines your paradigm. Your perception determines your context, and you live through that. So that's why other people can see oil when other people saw dirty mud. Seeing the same thing, but not because you can only see what's in your consciousness. Are you with me? So the first step in developing prosperity is to train your mind to see affluence and see from affluence. See, I want everybody, even the kids here, to go to a car dealership, have somebody take a picture of you in the car you like. Don't worry about the money. I'm not even saying talk to a salesperson. They got to let you in. It's a public place. Take pictures of you. Get your cell phone out. Take some selfies while you're driving, pretending that you're driving. The whole nine. Why? Why is that necessary? It's necessary because you're creating an image in your mind of feeling and seeing yourself in that which you desire. If there are open houses on homes, just go to them anyway. It doesn't make a difference how much money you got in the bank account. Just go. Walk in it. Smell prosperous houses. Drive in the neighborhood and look. Why? Because you're what? Conditioning your mind. I remember when we were in the Bahamas for POT. Anybody remember that? And I went with my older brother and some friends to Paradise Island. We went and we walked along those $1 million yachts. And our audio guy, Chris, I don't know if he's here today, but Chris got so mesmerized by one of the yachts, he started to walk on the yacht. He just walked right up on the yacht. And I actually had to physically stop him. So, man, you can't walk up on these people's yacht. Now, here's the thing. He saw himself on that yacht. And his mind moved him to go walk on and get on that yacht. Now, I don't know where he is in this building today, but I'm going to tell you one thing. He's going to get a yacht. His mind saw him there. He didn't care about the rules. His mind saw him there. Where does your mind see you? See, realize that our possessions are just outward manifestations or interpretations of thought forms. See, one of the quotes that Reverend Boyd made us remember when we were in teacher counselor training in the early mid-90s was this quote from Foundations of Unity. It stuck out to me. And as I was tweaking my lesson, it came back to me and I went and pulled it because it's powerful. It reads, "We should form the habit of blessing everything we have. All the substance is one and connected, whether in the visible or the invisible. The mind likes something that is already formed and tangible for a suggestion to take hold of. With this image, the mind sets to work to draw like substance from the invisible realm and thus increase what we have in hand." So what that is saying is when you can sometimes physically see a thing, when you can't get a construct in your mind, having something physical to see to bless, whether that's blessing your money, blessing your clothes, blessing your house, blessing your cars, blessing somebody else's yacht. What it does is it gives your mind something to handle so your mind, through universal law, can draw like substance. Because in God, there is no difference between money, car, house, and yacht. It's all substance. We have to believe it is possible for us to get what we want. Are you with me? Third bullet point. Believe is the activator of faith. That's a simple statement. Belief is the activator of faith. We all have faith. It's one of our spiritual gifts. But what activates it is your belief. What you believe is possible activates this latent ability for you to get what you say, what you want out of life. A belief is what you accept as true. That's all. Beliefs have nothing to do with truth. A belief is just what you accept as true. And what you accept as true has to be your experience because you are a law unto yourself. That's what Reverend Boyd taught you last week, right? Okay, so Fillmore again states that the office of faith is to take abstract ideas and give them form and substance. Ideas are abstract and formless to us until they become substance, the substance of faith. Now, that's pretty metaphysical words to say what? It means that faith makes no thing something. Faith makes no thing, nothing, invisible, potential, possibility. It forms and shapes. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things what? Not seen. It gives form and shape to the formless in mind so you can grasp it. Faith is expectation. Don't miss that. You get what you expect. Over and over again in chapter 4 of this book, Butterworth tells people, you get what you expect, not what you pray for. If you pray for one thing and expect another, you will get what you expect because you are a law unto yourself. Never expect to receive something or that's not in your consciousness, and never expect to outperform your consciousness. Get that. See, you have to have the expectation of what's possible for you. You need to ask yourself questions like, what are my expectations about money? How much money do I believe I can earn? Why? How do I utilize my money now? Do I want to spend money as soon as I get it? You got to understand, these are parts of your expectations. Does money control you, or do you control money? Am I stressed and tense about money? Because you know when your money ain't right, you walk around with that energy that ain't right. It's in your body. Do I ever worry about not having enough money or running out of money? Do I really believe I can be rich, wealthy, and financially free? How much money do I need to feel comfortable today and in the future? See, these things set your expectation. Without asking these questions, you might not know what your expectation level is. See, we have the power to choose what type of thoughts we hold and the feelings generated by those beliefs. Faith is your ability to say yes to God and you're good. Faith is your ability to see in spirit what is possible and the ability to manifest it. See, I really want you to get a handle on this. You have to have the faith to be able to grasp what God has given you as a desire. See, the law of visualization and belief is simply this. When you understand that God gives you ideas, then that means you have to be able to mentally work with the idea, and you have to be able to feel it. You have to be able to believe it. You have to be able to realize it. You have to be able to make it true for who? For yourself. You can't live off of somebody else's consciousness permanently. Somebody might be able to help you, aid you, but they can't live for you. Are you with me? So, I want to give you some homework. I'm a homework person. And what I'm going to recommend is, because this homework is 5 points, is you just get the CD. Serious. Just get the CD. Why? To make sure you don't mess it up. I'm challenging everyone within the sound of my voice to read the complete book, Spiritual Economics, by the end of this month. You say you want to be serious about prosperity. You think you're going to jog to wealth? Like, la, 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 la. Money's coming to me. No, you have to be intentional. I'm challenging everybody here to get it. Now, if the book runs out in the bookstore, prepay for it. Get it during the week or next week. But I'm challenging everybody here to read the whole book by the end of the month. So when Reverend Wells is going through these lessons, you are now going over it the second or third time, not the first time. Allow it to integrate into your soul. Jesus said, eat this. This is my flesh. Drink this. This is my blood. This is not talking about communion. This is take what I am teaching you and make it a part of who you are. Don't be a lazy metaphysician. Get the book and read it And don't make up excuses because you make time for everything else. Number 2. And I should have said something to Reverend Cook about this one first. So, Tapper, let her know. Write down the prayer. And this is why you got to get the CD. God in me is the source of my prosperity. And I always have more than enough substance and supply. I am in the flow of prosperity, and all is well. God in me is the source of my prosperity, and I always have more than enough substance and supply. I am in the flow of prosperity, and all is well. Use this prayer until the end of the month. Number 3, read Mark chapter 11, verse 24, every day to the end of the month. And when you read it, I want you to contemplate its meaning. That's all. God, what is this scripture saying to me? Number 4 is 5 steps. This is where Reverend Cook comes into play. Put it on God, Cookie. Call the prayer ministry or prayer ministry or a prayer partner and ask them to pray with you for clarity, conviction, and divine order every day until the end of the month. So it doesn't have to be the prayer ministry. It can be a prayer partner. But somebody that's willing to pray with you for 3 things: clarity, conviction, and divine order. Why? You want to see it, you want to feel it, and you need to get stuff in order. Last step, number 5. Write down your current yearly income and where it needs to be for you to be comfortable. Again, write down your current yearly income and where it needs to be for you to be comfortable. Post it where only you can see it daily and affirm daily with it. This is the prayer. This is long. Get the CD. But I have to give it as God gave it to me. Got it? I choose to experience the income of X or better now. X is whatever the total is. Again, I choose to experience the income of X or better now. It is mine now. I am taking all outward actions needed to correspond with my new prosperous consciousness. I am grateful. Thank you, God, in me. Again, one more time. I choose to experience the income of X or better now. It is mine now. God in me is the perfect fulfillment of abundance now. I am taking all outward actions needed to correspond with my new prosperous consciousness. I am grateful. Thank you, God, in me. In closing, play me out, Monte. If you truly want to experience freedom, you need to be prosperous. It is a good and righteous thing to be prosperous. It is your spiritual birthright to be prosperous. But you have to claim it. You have to accept it. You have to know it. You have to be it. You have to do it. Don't wait. It is time for your season now. You think you're waiting on God, but God is waiting on you to get your mind right so spirit can move. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. Claim who you are now. Refuse to give up. Refuse to stop. Don't let any any appearance get in your way, you stare it down, you call it nothing. You don't allow anyone or anything to get in the way of your prosperous now. God bless you.